Hello, grade 12s. We are back together again. So today we are going to embark on discussion of paper two. And remember, I always tell you that before you can actually jumpstart on answering any set of question, you should first make sure that you read the information or the instructions are given. So now, remember, section A is always compulsory, and section B, you're expected to choose uh, two questions from the three questions given. In section C, you are also expected to just choose one question from the two questions given. So now, if you still remember, I always tell you that before you can actually start answering any sort of question, make sure that you check or you pay attention to the allocation of marks, and also you should always pay attention to the content given and what also is expected of you to give. Okay, right. So now let's check question one. Question one in particular, 1.1. Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only a letter A to D as shown there on the question paper. So again, you are expected to make sure that any example that is actually being given to you, you follow it. Okay. So now let's check 1.1.1. 1.1.1 reads as follows. Emma will receive a predetermined amount investment in a dash when she reaches a certain age. So now, remember, I always tell you that grade 12s, whenever you are dealing with multiple choice questions, you should always apply eradication method or elimination method. Why is it advisable to apply this method that I actually mentioned? It is very important because if you check most of these options given from A to D, they are pretty similar, close to one another. So now, if you are not aware, you might be in the position, or you might find yourself in a position where you did select the option that is good, but not the best according to what is actually being given there, a set of answers. Okay, right. So now we have the question, and this question is in line with the predetermined amount of money invested, and also age is there. If you check the first option given, fixed deposit, it has nothing to do with age, and it has nothing to do with predetermined. The stokvel, in the same manner, it has nothing to do with age and predetermined. But now, when it comes to retirement annuity, it addresses the issue of certain age, and also it addresses the issue of predetermined. And then last, we have managed portfolio. Managed portfolio, as you know, this one is when one person is actually managing different set of investments. So now also it has nothing to do with age. So now in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be C. Okay, right. So now we are saying that our appropriate answer in this regard is C. Okay, right. Thank you, grade 12. So now let's move on to the next question. And the next question is 1.1.2. And 1.1.2 reads as follows. Non-profit companies are able to raise money through various donations. And this refers to dash as a criterion for contributing to the success of a business. So now let's check what we mean by non-profit making companies and also profit-making companies. When we talk of a profit-making company, we are talking of a business or an entity that has been established with the aim of making profit. So here we can have a different set of examples. But now when it comes to non-profit companies, here we refer to those entities that have been established with the aim of not making profit. And in this regard, we can refer to examples like clubs. Can be a soccer club, can be aim of starting those clubs is not to make profit. Okay, right. So now it means now these non-profit making companies, they are not taxed. Why are they not taxed? Because they are not meant, or they haven't been proceeds. Okay, right. So now it means in this regard, taxation is out, because taxation it applies or it caters for companies that are making profit. So now coming to capital, yes, it can apply. But now let's also check the options given. What is this capital? Capital normally we refer to what? We refer to assets or money that has been used so as to start up a business. And remember, even this capital, yeah, we can actually have different set of capitals. We can have a startup capital and then work in progress capital. But we have to know that capital also can be what? Can be money or asset. Money, remember, is a resource. Okay, right. So now we have a division of profits. Division of profits also is out. Why is it out? Because it addresses the issue of profit. And remember, in a non-profit making companies, profits are not catered for. So now let's check legislation. Legislation, yes, legislation can apply because when you talk of legislation, we refer to rules and regulations that govern any set of entity. So meaning in this regard, we can compare option B and option D. Why compare option B and option D? Because they don't address the issue of profit. So now let's check the question. The question says, non-profit companies are able to raise money through various donations. And this refers to DASH as a criterion for contributing to the success of the business. So in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be B. Why B? Because B contributes towards the success of the business. What is the success of the business? The business can only be successful if it is able to make profit. That's how we gauge success under business studies. So now let's move on to the next option. The next option that we are given grade 12, we are given 1.1.3 as the question. So now let's go through this set of questions given. Presenters use a dash as a visual aid to display large illustrations of products to support the core message of the presentation. Okay, right. So now if we check the visual aid here, it can be actually considered as the key point or keyword. So now what are these visual aids? Visual aid here we refer to what we refer to as such as diagrams, tables, PowerPoints, flip charts, and the like. So now, if we check here, presenters use dash as a visual aid to display large illustrations of product to support the core message of the presentation. So now, if we check here, we have A, which is overhead projector. An overhead projector can actually cater for large illustrations of product. And then we also have data projector. Data projector compared to overhead is bit small. And then also you have flashcards and also have posters. So now in this regard, our appropriate answer is A, meaning A is our appropriate answer because B and C as well as D are totally out. Okay, right, grade 12. So now we can actually move on to the next question. The next question we have 1.1.4, and 1.1.4 reads as follows. Chiliza traders submitted false returns to SARS. This is known as dash, a type of unethical business practices. Yeah, this one I know most of the business, what they do, they normally submit wrong information. Why wrong information? Because they want to avoid or they want to run away from paying tax. So now if we check out the options given there, A and C, they are more or less the same. B and D, they're totally out. So now one might ask, what is tax evasion? Tax evasion is when you actually try by all means to do what? To avoid paying tax. So meaning here, yes, you avoid paying tax, but in a smarter way. You can submit the particulars that my business makes this certain profit at the end of the year. Or it makes this certain profit on monthly basis, or it makes this certain profit on daily basis, or it makes this certain profit on weekly basis. So now, yes, you can actually submit your books to say, okay, this is my balance sheet, and this is what I'm making on a yearly basis. Or now you also submit maybe your statement of comprehensive income as well. So now, so that the authority that is in charge of taking out the levies from the business profits, which is the company tax. So now those authorities that are in charge, they decide how much they should take from your profit, or based on the profit that your business does generate. So now from the given set of information, or from the given set of options, the appropriate option in this regard is going to be A. Thank you very much, Great Talks. So at this angle, or this tangent, we have actually completed 1.1.4. So now let's move on to 1.1.5. 1.1.5 reads as follows. Team leaders implement dash as a criterion for successful team performance by providing regular feedback to their members. Team leaders. So now here we have actually some key points. If we pin out some key points here, we have team leaders. So now what is a team? One might actually ask, what is the meaning of the word team? When we talk of a team, we talk of group of individuals who are working towards the same goal. So it means that this group of individuals, they are having different set of responsibilities, but they are mandatory to work towards achieving one set goal of the company, or an entity, or a business. Leaders. What are leaders? Leaders, we refer to those individuals who normally direct the subordinates. They don't just sit there, but they just show the subordinates that this is how things should be done. This is how things should actually be done. If I take the right step, the subordinates also should take the right step. If the leader takes the left step, as well, the subordinates should take the left step. Unlike the manager, there's a difference between a leader and a manager. A manager is a person who always gives out an instruction, or who always gives out a command that do this and do that. But leaders, they are totally different from managers in that regard, because they show you how things should be done, or how duties, or how activities should actually be administered. Okay, right. So now leaders, in most cases, leaders are born. Leaders are born. They are not trained like managers. Managers are trained. You can just born as a person who doesn't possess managerial skills, but you can go to school, then you get trained, then at the end of the day, you can become a manager, and you can manage other people. That is why when you refer to manager, we act on management. In simple terms, management is getting work done through other people, simple terms. But now when we refer to technical terms of the meaning of management, management is the process of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling organizational resources so as to meet the set goal of a particular business. So now, in this regard, if we compare the given options, we have A, cooperation, B, we have communication, C, we have shared values, and D, we have interpersonal attitude and behavior. So the appropriate answer in this regard, we have communication. Why communication? Because you're saying that team leaders implement communication as a criterion for successful team performance by providing regular feedback to their members. Guys, if you still remember Great Talks, when we talk of performance under business studies, we don't refer to individual performance here. We talk, or we refer to performance per department, meaning each and every department should make sure that they perform or they play their activities, or the duties, or the tasks as expected. Remember, in a business, we have different set of functions or departments. For typical example, if you still remember, we have Department of Finance that deals with money. Also have Department of HR that deals with hiring and firing. So in that regard, it means that each and every department, they must do whatsoever that they are expected to do, so that at the end of the day, the business is going to be successful. So remember, when the business is successful, it means that it is able to generate enough a profit. Because if the business is not successful and the business studies, it means that it doesn't generate the profit that are actually impressive. Okay, right. So now it means in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be, our appropriate answer is going to be A. Okay, right. So in this regard, grade 12, we have scored yourself 10 marks. So now let's move on to section, we are still on section A. Remember, section A is compulsory, but now we have to move on to the next question, which is 1.1.2. So remember, grade 12, whenever you are dealing with this set of questions, you shouldn't just jump onto answers. You should always make sure that you read to understand the requirement of the question. Like 1.2 reads as follows: complete the following statement by using the words provided in the list below. Write only the words next to the question numbers, and you are given examples there is 1.2.1, 1.2.5, and then you are expected to follow suit. Okay, right. So now inside the box given there, we have social. Remember, social, it addresses the issue of society, or it addresses the issue of stuff that are not economic, in particular in a business. If you check whether the employees are actually drinking clean water, they're actually staying in an environment that is clean, those can actually be seen as social staff. Or when as a business, you are into the well-being of your workers. And in this regard, if I have actually observed it very well, most of the businesses, they pay less attention towards the well-being of their employees. So if you check most of the businesses that are paying less attention to the well-being of their employees, they tend to make a lesser profit. And at the end of the day, they are far from being successful. Okay, right. So now we also have the second option. Second option, we have founders. Remember, whenever we talk of the founder in this regard or under the context of business studies, we refer to those owners, we refer to people who started or established that particular entity or that particular business. Okay, right. So now also we have a situational. So now this situational can actually be a theory, and of which it is situational is a theory that applies to different set of scenarios or different set of occasions or situations. So then we have also decision making. Decision making, remember, is when the manager or a leader compare options. Then from the options given, then he selects the appropriate or the best option amongst the list that he has in store. Okay, also we have economic. Economic, remember, it has something to do with the price of goods and services. Then we also have the problem solving. Problem solving in the same manner, it is in line with the decision making. So we also have unlimited. Unlimited, normally it applies to the issue of the affairs of the owner of the business as well as the affairs of the business. So now, if we are saying that the business, there is unlimited relationship between the business and the owner, that means that if the business doesn't operate properly, that is going to affect the personal belongings of the owner. Meaning here, there is that relationship where if business fails, then the affairs of the owner also are going to be affected. Okay, right. Then we have the transformational. Remember, transformational here, we refer to a change from level 1 to the next level. And then also have bonus. Bonus here, normally this one, it caters for that reward at the end of the year for your workers, for maybe if they were supposed to be getting their rewards based on the investment that they did put in a particular business. So now in this one of bonus, normally we still remember it is seen as the compensation because the investors didn't get what was owed or what was due to them during the course of the accounting period or accounting year. Okay, right. So now we have landed on the last option, which is limited. So now this one of limited normally caters for what? It caters for a stoppage, or it says that there should be a limit. There should be a boundary between the affairs of the business as well as the affairs of the owner of the business. Meaning this concept says that the affairs of the owner and the affairs of the business should totally be different. There should be a boundary. Okay, right. So now if we check the first question that we have, in particular 1.2.1, 1.2.1 reads as follows. Companies issue their shares as a compensation for unpaid dividends. If you still remember from my explanation or definitions, I said that this calls for bonus. These are bonus shares. So now the second one, we have Calsam Enterprise implements the dash leadership theory as the business operates in a dynamic environment characterized by constant change. So now if we explain the word dynamic, because if you check here in this question, we have the keyword dynamic, and also we have the constant change. So now here, I'm going to explain this word dynamic. Dynamic means changes. That's the meaning of dynamic. Dynamic means changes, even though towards the end of this question, we have constant change. And that constant change, it means static under business world or under commercial world. Okay, right. So now let's check how some enterprise implements the dash transformational leadership. Why are we saying transformational? Because I did explain it that transformational caters for a dynamic behavior. So now, okay, right. In this regard, we have transformational. Transformational, right. So now, great talks, I think at this level, we are still together. I know some people say that, hey, business study is very difficult. Business study is not difficult. You are the one who makes it to be difficult. It is very, very simple if you make sure that you understand the meaning of the concept. But if you don't understand the meaning of the concept in that regard, you are going to get lost. Then after getting lost, then you start saying, hi, this subject is so difficult. No, it is far from being difficult. Make sure that you understand each and every concept and what it does mean under business context or business world or business content, right? So now let's check 1.2.3 great talks. 1.2.3 reads as follows. The personal assets of partners can be sold to pay off the debts of the partnership due to bankruptcy. This refers to there's limited. If you still remember, I did explain the meaning of unlimited as well as limited. So now it means in this regard, if you read this question properly, it says the personal assets of partners can be sold to pay off the debts of the partnership due to bankruptcy. So it means in this regard, if now this owner of the business has to take money from his pocket, because assets also we refer to what we refer to the possession of the owner. So if he can take his possession to replace the debts of the business, meaning this possession we can maybe refer to something like a car. He takes his car, he has to sell his car so that he can pay the debts of the business. In that regard, it means that the relationship is so unlimited between the owner of the business as well as the business. Meaning in this regard, our appropriate answer is going to be unlimited. Why unlimited? Because now this owner is forced. It is forced to what? To sell out his assets so that he can replace or he can settle the business obligation that it felt to pay. Okay, right. So now, let's move on to 1.2.4. Okay, right. So now, this question reads as follows. Bravo advertisers implemented the dash process when they analyzed situations to identify strategies necessary for change. Okay, right. So now the keywords here that we have here, we have situations as well as strategies. Remember when we talk of strategies, we refer to methods or techniques that are actually being used or applied by businesses or set of businesses so as to attain a lot of profit, so as to achieve a lot of profit. So now also we have a word situation. Remember this situation, as I said earlier, this falls under the theory of situational. So meaning the appropriate answer here is what? Situational theory. Meaning here we have situational theory. Okay, right, grade 12. At this level or at this point, now we have actually completed our 1.2.4. Now let's jump onto 1.2.5. But when I'm saying let's jump, I don't necessarily mean that now you should start answering 1.2.5 without paying much details or without paying much attention. Okay, right. So now This 1.2.5 reads as follows. Businesses promote these rights by providing clean water and healthcare services to their employees. So now from the definition or from my explanation, when I was explaining those words or those concepts that are appearing inside the table, remember I did give an example of how social works. So in this regard, since the business is in the position to provide clean water and to make sure that they have care services are provided for their own employees, it means that it takes the well-being of the employees into account. And from the definition that I gave you, I said that the moment the business pays much attention or respects the well-being of the workers, that means that it calls for social right. Meaning in this regard, our appropriate answer is social right. Okay, grade 12 at this level or at this juncture, we have already completed a 1.2.5. Now we can actually jump on to 1.2.3. So grade 12 is still, remember, I always tell you that whenever you are dealing with this set of questions where you are given a different set of columns. Remember, you are given column A as well as column B. In column A, we have the concept, and column B, we have the description. So most of us, or most of the grade 12s, whenever they are faced with this concept against the definitions, they are quick to select the definitions given before they can actually understand the concepts given in column A. So now, if we check column A, we have Republic of South African Retail Saving Bond. So now, if you still remember, this one is where the investors normally receive their returns 2 times in a year. And also, if you still remember here, this one, it is specifically for citizens of South Africa or the citizens of a particular country. Meaning, if you're a foreigner in this, you are not going to be what? You are not going to be catered for. It is only specifically for South Africans. Okay, right. So now, let's check the excess. If you still remember, when we talk of the excess, here we talk of the paying out of the money to the insured whenever the contract is actually being cancelled. And also we have social responsibility. Social responsibility is when a business is making sure that it takes the well-being of the community where it is located. So it can take the well-being of the community into account by actually providing with a different set of projects, or actually straightforward, giving them a set of employment, or actually giving them training in different set of aspects or areas. So just to give back to the community. And also we have 1.3.4, which is grievance. So now this grievance, normally grievance, it occurs when the employee is not happy with whatsoever activity that is taking place at the workplace. So now in this grievance, it's how the employee normally put out or breathe out his or her own complaint. So now we will check the different set of given options, and then we'll select the appropriate one towards grievance. So we also have 1.3.5. 1.3.5 addresses the issue of health and safety representatives. Guys, if you still remember, when we come across this word, health and safety representatives, this addresses the issue of safety and precautions at the workplace. So now there is an act that addresses this issue, which is greater compensation of blah, blah, blah. Okay, right. So now, guys, let's check the options given. Options given, we have 1.3.1, 1.3.1, the appropriate option for this, we have I, and the appropriate option for this one, we have D, and appropriate option for this one, we have J, an appropriate option for this one, we have F, an appropriate option for this one, we have C. So it means that grade 12 at this juncture would have completed your section A nicely without any difficulty or challenge. Okay, right. So now let's move on to section B. I think I did explain from the start the expectation of you guys on how to best approach this set of questions. So now, remember, whenever you are dealing with this, you should always make sure that you understand what you are doing. Don't just jump onto answers. Understand what the question wants. Then let's check what question 2 has in store for us. So we have 2.1. List 4 types of preference shares. What is the preference shares? And what are shares? So now let's start with the word shares. When you talk of shares, we refer to what? We refer to part of business ownership. And then preference, we refer to preference shareholders. We refer to those individuals or investors who bought shares in the business with larger amount of money compared to ordinary shareholders who bought the business ownership with lesser amount of the money. If you still remember, under this preference shareholding, preference shareholders normally, since they have put a lot of money in the business, they are always mostly preferred. Whether the business is making profit or not, their dividends should always be paid off. So now, what do we mean by dividends? Dividends, we refer to what? We refer to the reward that is normally been given by those people who have bought part of business ownership. And these dividends, normally, they are paid after the accounting period of 12 months. And then it can be paid maybe using different set of what payment. It can be paid after 6 months, which is the interim, and also it can be paid. Also, the remaining part can be paid also after 12 months, which is the final. So it depends on what? It depends on the investor, on how best they want their money or their reward to be compensated. Okay, right. So now, if you still remember, I did mention also ordinary shareholding or ordinary shareholders. Ordinary shareholders, since they put little money inside the business or inside the investment, then they are less preferred. It means that just as ordinary somebody, if the business is making profit, yes, in that regard, they can get the rewards of whatsoever they did put in the business in the form of investment. But the moment the business is not making enough profit, in that regard, the dividends won't be paid out. Why won't be paid out? Because now the business not making profit, and also they didn't put that much money inside the business. Okay, right, great talks. So now let's check the examples of list 4 types of these preference shareholders. So preference shareholders, number 1, we have what we call cumulative preference shares, redeemable preference shares, convertible preference shares, non-convertible preference shares. So now here we are saying that we have cumulative preference shares. We have cumulative preference shares, and then we have redeemable. We have redeemable. We have redeemable preference shares, and also we have convertible. Convertible preference shares, and lastly we have non-convertible preference shares. Non-convertible preference shares. Okay, great, top. So these are the different sets or different types of preference shares that we have. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question is 2.2. And 2.2 wants you to outline the functions of the Johannesburg Security Exchange. Remember, grade 12, I always tell you that whenever you are faced with any set of questions, check the action verbs, and you must know what the action verb expects you to do. Like now, when the question says outline, you must know what is the expectation of you. But sometimes, if you don't pay attention to action verb or the use of action verb, you end up listing when you are not supposed to list, or you end up stating when you are not supposed to state, or you end up describing when you are not supposed to describe, or you end up explaining when you are not supposed to explain. Okay, right. So now let's check Johannesburg Exchange. Johannesburg Exchange we talk of the platform. This is a platform that brings together those who wants to buy shares as well as those who are selling shares. So in short, this is the platform that brings together those who are buying shares as well as those who are selling shares. And they make sure that they regulate that platform. No scamming should take place there. People shouldn't advertise the available shares that they are selling in their business. They shouldn't, because Johannesburg Stock Exchange, it is the one that is going to monitor whether these shares that are actually being advertised, they're actually legit, or they are what? They are legal. Okay, right. So now let's check the examples or the functions. One of the functions is that it raises primary capital. And then another one provides protection for investors. Another one encourages short-term investment. So now let's check here. We're saying that here, number one, raises primary capital. And then secondly, provides protection for investors. They make sure that the business that is advertising those shares, they are not scammers, because most of these businesses nowadays, they are scammers. How scamming now is too much. Okay, right. Also, we said that they encourage short-term investment. They encourage short-term investment. Okay, right. So now let's move on to the next question. The next question reads as follows. If we check we have Venus Enterprises, VE, and this Venus Enterprises requested Mabu, the marketing manager, to present the market plan to shareholders. And Mabu used PowerPoint, pictures, flip charts during the presentation. So now she was also able to handle feedback in a non-aggressive and professional manner after a presentation. Okay, right. So now the question says, in particular 2.3.1, name two examples of non-verbal presentations in the scenario above. So non-verbal presentations that we are given here, we have what? We have number one, PowerPoint. And then the second one, we have pictures. And the third one, we have flip chart. But remember, the question only needs you to give true. Okay, right. Remember again, K12s, I always tell you that always pay attention to the allocation of marks. Why allocation marks? Because it can, or they can actually work as a guide to show you the amount of content that you should give whenever you are answering a question. And remember, I always tell you that whenever you have 4 points, that 4 points, it is the indication that you must, 4 marks, it is the indication that you must give 2 points. 6 marks is the indication that you must give 3 points. Then if you also have 8 marks, that is the indication that you must give 4 points. Okay, right. So now the question needs you to explain ways in which Mabu could handle feedback in an aggressive and professional manner after her presentation. Remember, when you do the presentation, the major aim of presenting is to deliver the content, is to pass the message to the audience, is not to fight them. That is why if you answer questions in a manner that is not aggressive, you should always be having a positive attitude. Also, okay, right, grade 12. Also, you must make sure that you always address the question, not the person.